Hey folks, do you like podcasts?
Do you have hobbies?
Well, here's the show for you.
The Hobby Shop Talk Podcast.
Featuring childhood friends
And old school noobs.
Luke and Matt.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt, and this is the Hobby Shop Talk Podcast, and we're on episode 20. And I'm joined by Luke, as always. Luke, how you doing?
Good. Just been checking up on the new Capenna previews for Magic, so it's been pretty cool to see those.
Yeah. That I have. I'm going to be talking about some things about New Capenna, but also 3 number ones. So you'll get that when we get there, and also we're both going to talk about Invincible. So it's kind of funny. It's been a bit in between here. So we had talked about starting Invincible, and now we've both finished it. So that probably says something on our thoughts on it, because we both finished it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't think I finished a show that quick. It was only 8 episodes, but still, it's.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, is there more? I was like, crap, it's done.
So a couple things we're going to mention. So obviously, I guess I don't know, obviously, because you wouldn't know, but the new format we discussed isn't quite ready. We have the ideas, but this episode, I think, is maybe a few days beyond our normal timing, but it's because we're in awesome Minnesota. I am looking out the window now at whiteout, not a whiteout, but it's snowing pretty good here. And, we had 50s recently, and it felt like spring. There was no snow, and it just keeps going back and forth, which leads to sickness. Luke had strep throat last week.
Yeah, we were going to record last week, and then I got sick, and then just like the whole week I was out pretty much after Tuesday night I started it, but or started getting symptoms, and then I was just out. My son was sick too, so.
Yeah, and now it's at our house. So we started on Sunday. My daughter has been sick and still is going today. I wasn't feeling the greatest yesterday, and it's all, a big part of it is this weather. You get 50s and we're outside in a t-shirt, and then, it snows and it's like, 30, and then it just keeps going back and forth. So anyways, that...
I blame the New World Order and the Illuminati.
Okay, so should we bring that up right away?
Oh, yeah, NWO. Yeah, we got to talk about my old favorite wrestler. Like growing up, Razor Ramon was out. He's one of my favorites. And sadly he passed away. It's been a couple weeks now.
Yeah,
but
it was new when we were going to record previously, but yeah, no, he was one of my favorites too. Yeah, back to Razor Ramon and throwing the toothpick. I always loved that. The Razor's Edge was one of my favorite moves, I think.
Yeah,
ever.
I used to do that to my little brother, AJ, actually, and his friends, and probably almost hurt them pretty badly. But luckily, nothing bad ever happened. But
I was, I was definitely more WWF at the time, but, I watched WCW. I would tape both, and I was big into the Monday Night Wars. And when NWO, I loved the NWO, and when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Hogan in the NWO, that was also great. So, yeah.
Well, and right when he went to the WWF, or the WCW, and he showed up on Nitro, and he's like, "You know who I am." And then that whole thing started. And I remember because I'd watch Raw too. I'd usually be over at Will's house, or sometimes, if it worked out and we didn't have school the next day, I'd go to your house and we'd watch it. But and then at the end of Raw, Nitro always went like 6 minutes over, so you'd flip it to Nitro to see what was going on, and it was
that was the best.
Always something crazy.
That was I loved wrestling back then. That's definitely sure. And I've been watching it more now, and there's some crazy things happening. I guess we could talk about that in the later section. So R.I.P. though, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
And the other thing, R.I.P. St. Cloud State Huskies in the NCAA hockey tournament.
Yeah, I'm numb to that by now, though. They've been to like 25 of them and got eliminated in the first round, but last year was their year, and they came up short. This year, they had so many returning seniors. We're talking about college hockey, by the way, for those of you that don't know. We had a ton of returning players, returning goalie, everything. Thought it was going to be our year, and then this whole year, even at the end of the year, we just dropped in the ranks so far, and like they weren't playing. Like the teams that usually end up winning up, like get hot at the end of the year, not hot at the beginning of the year. But like your Mankato State Mavericks, they just stayed hot all year. I don't know why all teams don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so we're talking. Yeah, so tomorrow night they play Minnesota Golden Gophers. So I mean, you can't beat that rivalry. I remember back in college, they had the best chance. They would be at Mankato, at our arena, and they'd be chanting "Gopher Rejects" was their chant for the Mavericks. And then we would always chant something about them being spoiled, rich little, I don't know. I can't
Cake
recall.
eaters, like on
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks, they call them the cake eaters, right?
Yeah, yep. So I can't remember. But it was a pretty good rivalry, and we could never beat them for years. And now it's funny because St. Cloud State and the Mavericks and UMD really have almost been ahead of the Gophers, I think, in Bemidji State even at times, I guess. Those are all D1 college hockey here in Minnesota. I guess that's one. I'm guessing a lot of people that listen to this are from Minnesota, at least majority, but there's some from other places. So we like our hockey here. We have to because it's like winter for 6 months.
More like 8 months, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's April and it's still winter.
In our wild, I wish I could watch them. Our good friend Brandon down in Florida went to Nashville and then to watch the Wild last night. And I just saw this morning they got beat like 5 or 6-2 after winning or not losing in the last 10 games.
Yeah, they were 9-0-1. And the last time they lost was to the Predators.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they spanked us last night. But
so let's go into Magic the Gathering, and we're going to start with news. So, Luke, I know you've been checking out new Capenna previews / spoilers.
Yeah, so they came out with like 3 legendary creatures for each of the houses, because in New Capenna, it's kind of like it's like a mafia / like I think like the Roaring 20s, right? Like the bootleggers and 1920s ish.
Yeah, it's like the closest to like our reality. You know what I mean? I guess you know what I'm saying? So like it's like closest to being in our world almost with like the Roaring 20s and
Well, I will say like one of the cards that turned me off, like so in Broker's Ascendancy, which is a good card, it's banned, so it's green, white, and blue, 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Great card, but there's a cat with a fedora in it, and I was like, I don't know. That's not really the fantasy art that I look for in my playing cards. But anyways.
Yeah. No, I don't. That's what threw me off about Kamigawa, though, initially, too, was just the bikes and the vehicles and, the futuristic setting. So, but then, kind of did grow on me and I was okay with it. So, I'll be. Yeah.
There is a commander that I want to make a suite or like a token deck now. I have a bunch of good token generating cards, although I don't have like Doubling Season or I think it's Parallel Universe where like those are pretty expensive, but they just double the amount of tokens you get. But the card is Jetmir Nexus of Revels. But so creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance as long as you control 3 or more creatures. Oh, and this is Mardu, by the way. So it's a 1 colorless, red, green, and white. And then it has 3 different like steps almost. So that first one I just said. And then the second one is creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you have 6 or more, or you control 6 or more creatures. And the last one is creatures you control get +1/+0 and have double strike as long as you control 9 or more creatures.
Nice.
So it's get a lot of, if you get like 9 tokens out, which you could probably do in Commander, because I see this guy being a pretty sweet commander, and then you lay him out, that you could almost end the game if you have 9 or more creatures, because all your creatures are going to get +3/+0 and then have double strike, trample, and vigilance.
What colors was it again?
Red, green, and white. So just right up my alley.
So white. So I know Brent recently he switched to a new deck with tokens, and I believe that there's a white card that you double the number of tokens, I believe.
Yeah, that's not Doubling Season, it Ascension something. I'd have to look it up.
That sounds correct. Anyways, this is, I guess, complete. I'll probably end up forgetting, so I'm just going to mention it. So he had a ton of tokens between Scoot Swarm, some sort of fungus, and anyways, he ended up doing a meat hook massacre and killed us all, sacrificing all his creatures for like 40 damage.
I
So,
suppose,
anyways.
yeah, because you lose a life for each creature that died.
Yeah,
With me,
yeah.
yeah, that card's like $50 now.
Yeah.
I have
Yep.
I have a copy. I've been wanting to put it in a black and white commander deck that I still don't know who's going to be my commander, but
Anyways, I guess I digress. We were talking about new Capenna. Any others on your end? Otherwise, what I had is Mark Rosewater, and this is on Tumblr. I wish it was Twitter. I was thinking for a minute because I was thinking you could retweet it. So anything else on your end? But he gave some teasers, so I'll give those about new Capenna.
yeah, go through those teasers because it kind of just says like what's to come in this new set, and there's some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, so and I won't go through them all. And then if you've seen it, if there's any you want to mention, I'm going to kind of start at the top. So it says, the Mark Rosewater on Tumblr had.
All right, well, first I will say one of them, which was my favorite, was it said there's 3 cards for white that will generate card draw.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure so.
You need
that's,
more of those.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I'll go through these. So he mentioned before the official preview season, which I just found out also is tomorrow. So starting tomorrow, preview season starts for New Capenna, the 7th of
officially,
April.
Or what? We've already got a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I guess. I was looking. I guess there's a preview season. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it said it starts April 7th. So he said, I thought it would be fun to do another of my duelist style teasers where I give tiny hints of things to come. Note that I'm only giving you partial information. So these are some things to expect. Now I'm starting up at the top. 5 mana cost using existing mana symbols that we've never used before. See what that means even. That we've never used before. A spell that costs 13, I'm assuming colorless, and then 2 swamps or 2 black. Wow.
And I'm sure it's like, this gets, 1 less for each creature in your graveyard or something.
Yeah, So some of these would be just so curious for people, especially that, have played a long time, just to see if they can guess what these are prior. Maybe you can, because you've kind of been in it more. I missed some years, but a mechanic we've tried to get in numerous sets. Oh, okay. I was thinking something that didn't work that they're bringing back. A mechanic we've tried to get in numerous sets finally finds a home.
I was like, are they bringing back flanking?
Yeah, for a minute I thought they were trying to, that they were bringing back something
Banding?
that didn't work. A creature type theme for a draft archetype that's never been used before. Creature type theme for a draft archetype that's never been used before. A red creature that can make token copies of creatures you control.
That'll be good in that the Jetmir deck that I'm going to make for Commander. If it's red, it'll fit right in.
White, blue, green, red. Yeah, so then a card that adds 2 white. What's you? Why am I blanking here?
Blue.
So they do blue is okay.
You, because then black.
Okay. Yeah. For a minute I was like, what? Okay, so 2 white, 2. Oh, so 2 of each color. So a card that adds 2 of each color. Here you go. A mechanic which first premiered in a standard legal set in the 2000s sees a return to standard.
So I wonder if it's like from Stronghold or what else was right around then. That's because that's right when I stopped playing. Not New Phyrexia. Is that one? I don't know.
I'm going to skip the next one because it's about cat and dog tokens. I'm going to just skip down a couple. Multiple white cards capable of drawing a card each turn.
So maybe it wasn't 3 exactly, but...
Here's some rules text that will be showing up on cards. Then if you control 10 or more creatures, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Next one, copy target spell you control that wasn't cast. What?
So if maybe... I mean, there's cards that let you play it without, because if casting it, I think you have to, like, pay the mana. But if, like, say in your exile deck, you can, like, do that skewer the critics. Or no, where do you exile the top 3 cards of your library and you can play them? Is that technically casting them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Magic players are too nerdy.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go into off on a little story. So we had in Minnesota. I was telling these other guys because we always joke about people taking Magic too seriously. Because I am the least from that. Because I have games upstairs I brought up like yesterday. I could have board wiped twice, and I just didn't because we had somebody else that wanted to play. I didn't feel like board wiping. anyways, I don't take the game that seriously. I could care less if I win, except for if I'm playing
Me?
modern, because then it's like first, one-on-one modern, then I'm trying to win. But anyways, remember that there was like 2017, somebody actually attacked another person with like a knife and a hammer near us. It almost killed them over a Magic game. You remember that?
They
I
actually
looked
went
it
to our
up.
high school.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
might
it
have
happened
talked
up
about
in,
this.
yeah. We might have
But-
talked about this in one of our first podcasts. Yeah, it was craziest story ever. And then he turned himself in like, oh, maybe
he
I shouldn't have
called.
done that.
Yeah. So anyways, some people take it too seriously. Yes. You just reminded me of that, but hopefully the person's okay. And anyways, again, I digress. Copy target spell you control that wasn't cast. I mentioned that. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay 4 life. Some of these are boring. When you cast this spell, copy it. This one is tap one of each of the colors, tap the card, sacrifice card name. Huh. Where X is the number of permanents you sacrifice this turn. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. Yes, all these are just good. And then the next goes into some different creature type lines in the set, and I'll just go through these quickly. There's a Devil Warrior, a Raccoon Rogue, a Bird Assassin, a Plant Dinosaur, an Artifact Creature that's a Treasure Dog, Angel Warrior Artifact Creature, and these are legendary creatures, a Sphinx Demon, a Cat Citizen, a Cephalid Advisor, and a Vampire Demon Noble. And then, yep,
You say a syphilis vampire?
A Cephalid Advisor. Syphilis Advisor.
Oh, where do you go when you get syphilis? To your advisor.
And it says, check out the Streets of New Capenna debut on April 7th, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Twitch and YouTube. So, yep, tomorrow as of our recording this. Anything besides the one you already mentioned out of everything I mentioned, stick out to
There's
you?
a card that you'll probably end up playing and like having fun doing, so it's just looks like the worst card ever. It's called Lord Xander the Collector, and it's 4 colorless, a blue, a black, and a red. So, right up your alley colors. But it's when Lord Xander the Collector enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand, rounded down. When Lord Xander attacks, defending player mills half their library, rounded down. And then when Lord Xander dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they control, rounded down. So, a lot of
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's like a good commander where like you just get everyone to attack you if they know that you have him as commander, because he looks terrible.
All right. Well, anything else on your end on New Capenna before we move into what's going to be the next set, like immediately after? They just like keep coming.
Well, they are going to be coming out with the Tri-Gnome lands again. So, each house in New Capenna will have their own rare, and it's a cycling land. So, and then there's also charms again. So each has their own charm with like, it has 3 different abilities, and then you can pick one, and they're instances. So.
Yep. Those do look cool. Yeah. So that's the big thing is, the Triome. Is that the Triome?
Well, that's what they were in Ikoria. I don't know what these are called, but
so what I was mentioning,
Tri-lands.
So it's always fun. We get to talk about this stuff all the time. On the other side, I guess it's fun and not fun, but when you have to keep placing pre-orders constantly for all these new sets coming, it gets kind of crazy. So I just pre-ordered already for the next set, Dungeons and Dragons, and it's going to be it's Commander Legends Battles for Baldur's Gate. So another Dungeons and Dragons set, but Commander Legends, a lot of people are saying is like, some people say it's like the best set ever. So this is a follow-up to that, more D&D focused. Your thoughts? Have you been hearing anything about that, Luke? Are you excited for another Commander Legend?
Well, yeah, so far we got, some of those dual lands that, they enter tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. So good lands for like those multiplayer games. Those are all like sitting at like $20 and $30, it looks like. And And then we got a couple previews that Minsk and Boo Timeless Heroes. You know, I forgot what set they were originally on, but it's the Mardu legendary planeswalker. What? He's a planeswalker in this one, and before he was just like a legendary creature with that Boo that when he comes into play, you get a 1/1 hamster, or I think it's a hamster, yeah, with trample, but and haste. So, anyways, they have another version of him. And then, there's not too many other ones besides the Ancient Brass Dragon, which is probably more up your alley.
Yeah, there's so I was reading here that the public debut for this one will be online May 16th, and then they're gonna preview cards through May 20th. Pre-release weekend is June 3rd to the 6th. But yeah, so another Commander, and for us, we've been talking at the store. Commander's our biggest thing here. We have a pretty good group of people on every other Saturday. We do a Commander, and we have a lot of people. Anyways, so it'll be big for us. Everybody loves Commander. I'm sure there'll be some awesome, Commander pre-cons. And I like the D&D. It's a fun theme, versus 1920s wearing fedoras and anyways, so that'll be coming up in June. So I'm guessing we'll be having some more things over the next couple episodes for that one.
We're gonna lose all our fedora wearing audience members.
Sorry. Well, they can go.
No offense, but offense.
Luke, have you seen any of the Challenger decks, 2022 Challenger decks?
Yeah, actually, so I went to the Lewis Game Shop, as usual last Friday, and they do Modern every Friday, but I just play Commander with the other guy I usually go with. But one of the guys was using the mono white Challenger deck, and it looked pretty good. It has like Elite Spellbinder, Faceless Haven, which got banned, which I think still works in Modern. Maybe it's just banned in Standard. Was that the case? I don't remember.
Yeah, you got Luminarch Aspirant. There's 4 of those.
Yeah, so it's like a white weenie, and then
mono white aggro. But so the crazy part is the 60 cards, $123. They're like $40.
I know, yeah.
Decks, and so then the Dimir Control is the other, a blue-black set. I'll just mention them all. Gruul Stompy is another one, and that's just crazy. It has Goldspan Dragon. We saw that in the store because we didn't look at them, and all of a sudden I got those because I must have pre-ordered, and that one comes with Goldspan Dragon. It's just pretty crazy. And then the last one is Rakdos Vampires. A couple people in the store bought the Dimir Control the other day, and then the Gruul Stompy ones have sold. I still have both of the Rakdos Vampires and the mono right aggro, so I guess I can see where people hear what they play towards. But anyways, those are kind of cool because a lot of people here, especially the newer people, they only know Commander because that's what we've kind of played since they started playing, and so now these were a good way for them to get into even Standard, but also Modern, just playing a 60 card deck. So we're gonna start having more Modern on Sundays. I'll just mention it here. I have my Modern deck, that Kuldotha Rebirth, Goblin deck. And I think I have it finally. I've added 2 dual strikes so I can copy those Kuldotha Rebirths or copy a Goblin Grenade for 10 damage. But it's fast. It's I got 10 plus 0 cost cards, which I pump up when they're all attacking. So turn sometimes 2, I can do quite a bit of damage. So yeah, I've got that pretty fast, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool to help people get into the playing 60 card and Standard, because seems like something, at least here, that it's kind of going away. Nobody's playing Standard. It's either Modern or Commander.
Well, even like you said, if they're beginners and they buy that pack or that deck, they're gonna get valuable cards right away, like a Goldspan Dragon or Elite Spellbinder. Is that what that card's called? The 3/1 flying white creature that you exile and it costs 2 extra.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're gonna get valuable cards right away to your collection.
So that for news, that's all I got. Anything else for news? And then we'll see if we've played some games, which I'm guessing we have.
Not for Magic. That's about trying to think with like Arena and stuff. I haven't been playing much Arena lately, but there might have been some news on that. I don't know. Whatever. Just
We're
play
over
real
it.
cards. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let you talk first because you just mentioned you were playing some Magic. So
Yeah.
let
So
you tackle
last,
that.
trying to think if we had anything cool happen. I mean, we might as well talk about when we
I
played.
was
Like
just
that
gonna
was
say we should probably
that was
start
already
at that.
like what 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? Because it was right after
Yep.
we released the other podcast, the other episode. So, but yeah, we finally got when you came over, we finally got to play again. And did you use your Exile deck both times, or no? You played your new what's his name, Garak
Yep.
deck, right? And then
So-
you switched out to Karth, or what's his name?
Yep, so that's what I was going to mention. So I finally, because I was a noob and I had one of my Guraks, and I played with it for a while, and nobody else realized for a while that, it didn't say that it could be my commander. And so I had it as my commander for a while. Anyways, so it took me forever to find another commander that was black-green that meshed well with it. So I ended up using Karth the Lion. So when Karth the Lion enters a battlefield or a planeswalker you control dies, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a Planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And the nice part is Planeswalker loyalty abilities you activate cost an additional +1 to activate. So you get +1. So it's huge when you get +2, or even someone it's negative. I think it
For the ultimates.
yeah. So anyway, so then I've been adding a couple different. I added a Vraska. I still need a couple more Vraskas. So obviously I've been trying to add some more Planeswalker. I think there's a couple of Vivian with the Beast Planeswalker. Anyways, so yeah, we played with that. And this is where I was saying the other day, I hope your memory is better than mine because I see so much Magic every day that I can't remember what I played. I think we split.
Yeah,
Correct?
because I tried my enchantment deck right away. And not that it's an excuse, but I wasn't drawing enough land and it was annoying me. But anyways, it still ended up going a little bit because you used your Karth and then you look at the top 7, not get anything. So I got kind of, like it kind of helped delay the game a little bit, but you ended up winning with you got one of your big green creatures. I forget which one, but eventually I just ended up dying because
and that was my problem here is I've even in the recent games where I'm not getting any planeswalkers and using that ability. Yesterday I actually sacrificed him after I got him out the first time to get 2 creatures from my graveyard because I kept getting milled just so I could bring them out again. And then I didn't get a planeswalker again. And now I have like 10 maybe, but I want to get up to maybe even 15. So with some even cheaper planeswalkers so I can use that ability early on. Anyways, so I won the first game. And then I think we switched up. Do you recall what you played?
Yeah, I think you kept playing with the same deck, but then I switched to my Kaikar, which ended up doing what it does best and just drawing a crap ton of cards and then playing a bunch of instants and sorceries. So yeah, because I got that whirlwind. What is it called? Whirlwind of Thought. So whenever I cast a non-creature spell, I can draw a card. And then, when I cast a non-creature spell, I could create a 1/1 spirit. Yep. So I remember I had a pretty big board state. I don't remember how I ended up winning, which sucks because, it was a fun game. But
yeah, we were ready to talk about it more last week, but then I think we forget as we go. But no,
well, so even 2 weeks ago when we were originally going to talk about it, and then it just kept getting delayed.
But the big thing is it kind of sucks we didn't play a third match because I definitely think we need to play my Exile, or I'm kind of working on my Goblins again. I completely switched and I'm not going to do the Scrap Servant. I'm just going back to my Goblins and speeding it up. And I think we need to have a rubber match. And and I'll use my Exile deck against his Kaikar. Is that your most powerful?
Yeah, well, my enchantment deck is actually getting really powerful too. I just realized like it has awesome card draw because of all those enchantresses. I forget what they're called, but essentially, whenever I play a enchantment or whenever I play in an enchantment, I can draw a card. So I usually just have a ginormous hand and I have to discard constantly. But I have some bigger auras, like the 4 get +4/+4, and it becomes an angel and a first strike. But I need like a finisher. So I need to get like that Eldrazi, what is it, Eldrazi Constrip, where it gives it +10/+10.
Yep.
I just need something that like ends up being like an actual
A
finisher.
win condition. Yeah.
Yeah, win con is what
Yep.
they call it. And
Yeah,
like I've never really focused on that. I'm just like, this would
Same
be
here.
fun. This
We
would
were
be
talking
fun.
about that yesterday. I'm more theme than anything. I'm more just along for the, to have fun. And like, if I'm playing a deck, it's got to be themed or I won't. It's just not how I play. I'm more theme. I just want to play for fun. I want to use cards that I like. So anyways, you played some Modern at Lewis Game Shop.
No, I was sat by someone playing Modern.
Oh, you sat by someone.
Well, yeah, because they play Modern there every Friday, and they always tell me to play, and I'm like, I don't have a good enough Modern deck, and so I will have to get one here soon. But yeah, Eldrazi Conscription is enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and has trample and Annihilator 2. So an Annihilator is whenever it attacks, defending players sacrifices that many permanents, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, but
I just ran upstairs at the store so I can talk about I played my I'm tired from running up the stairs and down the stairs, sorry. I
sounds
played
like you should see a doctor.
my goblin deck and against a about $600 deck that was traded into the store not too long ago, the Cruxa Titan of Death's Hunger. Are you familiar, Luke?
What is it? Yeah, what does it do? It sounds familiar.
So it's 1 red, 1 black. When Cruxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life.
So it's like 2 mana, right? Just the red and a black, and then it has the whatever it's called.
2 black, 2 red to escape. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So he plus it's got like Inquisition of Kozilek. Target player reveals their hand, choose a non-land card, and discard it. I mean, so right away, he had Raven's Crime. Target player discards a card for 1. Plus those Cruxas. So this is like a $600 deck, and it's really good. But we had a very, very good game. He made me discard one of my artifacts that I needed early, plus my Kuldotha Rebirth. And so it completely slowed me down. But the game got down to, I got Devin, who was using the deck here at the store, down to 4, I believe. And then he killed me. He was able to keep doing the Cruxa, and eventually I had no cards, so I was losing 3 life every time he did it. So yeah, it was a really good game. And so now I've added a few things. I added another Darksteel Citadel, which is an artifact land. So I have 3 of those in there now. And what else? Oh, and the 2 dual strikes. So I think it might have beefed it up a little more. So,
well, I'll have to make I think we talked about this too before. I'll have to make a human Modern deck, and then take on the goblins.
Yeah.
Although if you look up like on just any Magic website, like deck building ones, Modern Humans is like, I should actually look it up real quick because it's super expensive.
Yeah, that's why it's funny when I say $600. A lot of the Modern decks are much more, but for me, it's like I bet if I priced out my Goblin deck, it's like $18.
Oh, with the goblins?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have many even rares in there. It's just very, very fast. That's actually a lot, 'cause I do have like not Ornithopter, but Memnites are like $5, and I have 4 of those in there. But still, it's probably like a $75 deck. That has always kind of been my go-to for several years, and I kind of rebuilt it now, and hopefully sped it up. So when we start doing we're gonna start doing Modern hopefully on Sundays here at Prairie Hobbies and Games. Kind of matches up. Some other shops are doing Saturday, so I don't like to, if they're doing it on Saturdays, we'll do ours on Sunday because we do our Commander Saturday. So we'll be doing some more Modern here. So I'll play my Goblins against some other Modern decks and talk about that. But
so here, maybe I'll buy this deck. It's $1,400, and it's a human Mardu deck. We'll see how Bree thinks of that. I was just
gonna say, yeah, Bree don't. Yeah, she doesn't listen to this, does she?
She doesn't listen to this anyway. I'll just put on my credit card.
The one that's just in your name.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Everyone has one of those, right?
anything else? Just because we've probably been talking a while about Magic, we should maybe transition into comic books. And
Yeah.
so we, being the noobs we aren't going to talk about the next Magic series because Luke is missing one of the issues. So we'll do that.
They are
next.
in at Granite
City?
City Comics, so
St. Cloud,
shout out to
Minnesota?
them for ordering it for me. I got 9 and 12, I believe, so that kind of gets caught up. So
Yep. So we'll do 4 next time of them. As long as I have mine, I'll have to verify. So we'll do 8. Is that 8, 9, 10, and 11, or 9, 10, 11, and 12?
we did 8 already
so-
2 episodes ago or last episode, but
All right.
yeah.
So if we have them, maybe we'll do all 4. Who knows? We say a lot of things. But I want to talk about, because this goes into news. So the title of this was, and this is coming from bleedingcool.com. Magic the Gathering's new hidden planeswalker debuts in first issue. So a couple things in this that were surprising, or were kind of interesting. Since first debuting and breaking sales records, Boom Studios' Magic the Gathering comics have been making waves among fans of the franchise that drove Wizards of the Coast past the $1 billion earning mark in 2021, which I was like, wow, that's awesome for Magic the Gathering. But so then it started talking about the release of Magic the Gathering Neon.
Like Neon Dynasty?
Yeah, so hold on here. So sorry, it's Magic the Gathering Hidden Planeswalker. Okay, skip that. I don't know what the Neon was, but it's called Magic the Gathering Hidden Planeswalker. Will be the first time a new Planeswalker debuts exclusively in a comic book.
Oh, so he's not even a card yet. It's not like Tezzeret or whatever.
Yeah, so
I thought he got his own comic book.
Yep. So if you look up, you can see previews now of Magic Hidden Planeswalker #1 by Boom Studios. So that'll be another one we have to check out. But so this one is I'll just read the quick preview. It's delve even deeper into the Magic the Gathering universe with comic and screenwriter. We'll skip that just for now. Actually, we'll give it because I didn't know how to say it. Margaret Scott and artist Fabiana Mascolo. Will our heroes have many dangers to face throughout the multiverse? The powerful necromancer Liliana Vess returns to her new home as a professor at the greatest college of magic in the multiverse. But she doesn't return alone. Sensing the presence of a distant planeswalker calling for help, one with the power to save or destroy entire planes puts her on a collision course with the diabolical machinations of the Tezzeret, the master of metal. So, it says, as they understood it, the Hidden Planeswalker 1 will not have a full first appearance, but rather a cameo of the powerful new character with the ability to destroy or save entire planes of existence. Yeah, so it says fans and collectors alike will be chasing not the first issue of the series, but likely the second one of it, which features a full first appearance and perhaps even a first cover appearance down the line. So anyways, thoughts on a Planeswalker, and it sounds exclusively like in the comic?
Well, are they going to end up making it a card probably? Because it sounds like it's the first one to debut in a comic and not on a card or in a card.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if, then it'll be... anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting, debuting a new Planeswalker in a comic book.
And if it can destroy planes, like maybe they're setting up a big duel against Urza and Mishra versus this new Planeswalker, and Urza and Mishra will make up their differences into this and unify to fight this thing. And there you go. I just wrote it for you, Wizards.
You should maybe throw out your email or something. Probably not your phone number, so they know where to reach you. And I'm just trying to see here. In shops, April 20th.
Oh, good day.
Yep. So maybe I can read that on 420. So that leads into, some comic book news. It was also Magic the Gathering, so I wanted to throw it in there. Luke, did you find any comic news so I don't have to keep talking initially for news? Or I have 3 just comics that seemed... actually 2 comics and then one other thing that were kind of newsworthy.
Not really news, but it's just something I kind of realized when I was reading the X-Men issue 9, and then just like I was watching other, reviews of it. Like, so the X-Men, they all take place in, or like Krakoa, pretty much. So there's like X-Men Red, there's the Marauders, there's X-Force, but it's just like all these different storylines that it essentially intertwine every now and then. Because in this new one, Storm's in it, but she's in X-Men Red, which takes place on the planet Krakoa, which is Mars, and they terraformed it. So it's just like, do I have to read all these different storylines to like get like small, like catch smaller bits?
Yeah.
Like they look like X-Force looks pretty sweet, and Marauders looks pretty cool. Even X-Men Red, it has like Magneto and Storm in it, so it's like, dang, too many things to read.
We've talked about, I mentioned that in DC because I'll be talking about my 3 number ones, and in all these DC comics, there's always like the little asterisk when it's like issue, where it's discussed in issue something of, a completely different comic. And so it's like, there was a ton of that in these issue ones because they're talking about stuff that's happened in the whatever it's called, the story, the
Arc.
Yeah, the arc or the part of canon, or like,
Yeah.
the current storyline. So yeah, there's so much of that. It kind of throws you off because they're talking about things that other people might know about because they've read all of them. But otherwise, I'm like, what? And then they're like, oh, discussed in issue. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, in 10 Lives of Wolverine issue 4, it like, this is kind of a spoiler alert, and I'll probably talk about it later on, but so when he's in Weapon X, like they've told that story before, Wolverine Weapon X getting his adamantium, but the doctor doing it was like, saw like a little symbiote, kind of like Venom. So I was like, oh, that's weird. Next page, it shows like this Venom like taking over Wolverine's body. So, and I was like, is this part of canon now? Was like Venom originally going to be tried to put into Wolverine? But then it shows like a little asterisk, like, see Web of Lies, issue number 5, like from, however long ago. So I was like, what?
And then
anyways.
And DC likes doing this too. Then they'll do a rebirth. That's what I'm talking about. Rebirth. And then there was the new 52. It's like where they like restart everything.
Yeah, just wipe everything out. Wipe it.
So I'll just mention a couple quickly here. I was looking. So what I've been doing is I go to Image Comics and Boom Studios because they're my 2 favorite, and I just look at upcoming comics. And so I saw this title from ImageComics.com. Monsters Lurk in chilling new horror series The Closet by my favorite James Tynion IV and Gavin Fullerton, launching this June. So he just so this is his first comic through his the first of the original comic series I've been publishing through my Substack to print. Anyways, The Closet is a personal horror story that's been living. So this is what Tynion said. That The Closet is a personal horror story that's been living in the back of my head for a very long time, and I can't wait to introduce it to a larger audience. In The Closet, Thom, T-H-O-M, Thom, is moving cross country with his family and dragging the past along with them. His son Jamie is seeing monsters in the bedroom closet and will not let them go. The artist said the setup of our story, I'm sure, will be familiar to many horror fans. A little boy is afraid of the monster in the closet, but also many horror fans will know that these familiar tropes are there to guide the audience into something much, much deeper. So I love James Tynion, and my favorite comics I think have all been his. So I'm pretty excited for that one, and that's called The Closet by James Tynion. It'll be Image, and it'll be in comic shops Wednesday, June 1st. The next is another Image Comics. It's called A Town Called Terror. I don't know what's with me in horror comics right now, but they both looked really cool. This is, let's see, by writer Steve Niles. Man, this last name too. Artist Zyman Kwadransky. Again, A Town Called Terror. A Message from Home, Part 1. Henry West is brutally kidnapped in the middle of the night while his wife Julie watches, terrified. Henry awakens to the reality of his whereabouts, but Julie, with no evidence of the phantom crime, is unable to get the help to search for him. A new series from the minds of cutting-edge horror creator Steve Niles and Zyman Kwadransky. Yeah, so that's another cool one from Image, and that is arriving next week, April 13th, Town Called Terror. So yeah, both those horror comics, but definitely both sounded up my alley. So I'll be checking both those out from Image Comics. All right, so now I've talked a lot. That's all the previews I got. I do have one more, I guess not preview, news thing I'm going to talk about, but it's kind of a mix between comics and TV. So I'm going to save that until the TV news. So, Luke, I know you've read some comics, so how about you talk for a little bit?
Yeah, so issue 9 now is out for the X-Men reboot. And so I'm pretty sure I've been using Dr. Stasis and Fei Long like interchangeably because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but they are two different people. So Fei Long is the one
old school noobs. That should just be like on our like a asterisk thing on the print warning. You're listening to a podcast with two old school noobs who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Just like on the Impractical Jokers, three lifelong friends. So you take that all with a grain of salt, what we say, people.
Spotify's going to start putting the misinformation symbol on our thing.
Fake news.
Fake news. Anyway, so Fei Long, he's the one that turned his skin red and terraformed Mars. And then Dr. Stasis is the one that's trying to evolve mutants to the next step or the next level. So anyways, just to clarify that. So, in issue 9, they kind of start off in 3 separate areas. So, Krakoa, Phobos, which is where Fei Long, which the part of Mars he terraformed, then Araco. So, what the X-Men are trying to figure out, and they're voting on this in the beginning of the issue, is whether or not to go to war with Orcus. So, and the reason I kind of clarified the Dr. Stasis and Fei Long thing is because they were both in the beginning of this issue, and I was kind of like, yeah. Then it reminded me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so they show Dr. Stasis, and it shows one of his new partners in crime, which is one of my probably favorite X-Men villains, which is Nimrod. I don't know if you remember him, but it's kind of like a robot killing machine, essentially.
Minnesota. There's a town in Minnesota called Nimrod that I, in my drinking days, used to drink in frequently.
That's where they got the name. I'm pretty sure. But so Dr. Stasis, he now he has Nimrod on his side. Then also remember last issue, Modak, that giant flying head thing, killing machine robot too. Like, of course. He's the one that, yeah. So he's on their team now too. So, and so that was the first part of the issue. And then, now Storm's in this because apparently she's, and this is where I kind of thought of there's way too many storylines. So Storm is sits on this universal chair thing of all powerful beings to and she, I think, represents maybe a certain part of the universe where the humans and mutants are. But they're voting on whether or not to go to war. So yeah, then that's about halfway through the issue that starts showing. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, it shows who, I don't know if I was confused or what I read, but it talks about Rogue's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Who is also I think Mystique's lover is what I get gathered from it.
What do they call those during the day TV shows?
Soap opera.
Yeah.
Maybe. But anyway, so it shows Rogue, Gambit, and then Destiny, her name is, who's a weird, I don't even know what she is. I don't know much about her backstory, but Destiny, she can see the future, so she knows everything that happens. And she doesn't like Rogue at all, or she doesn't like Gambit at all. And so yeah, it shows them kind of fighting in a bar on Otherworld, I believe it is. Anyways, yeah, it's quite confusing, this whole run so far.
This reminds me of me trying initially the first time to watch Game of Thrones and remember who everybody was. And then we're going to talk about Game of Thrones later.
Yes, they go through so many different things. So yeah, I don't know, this issue was kind of confusing. They mostly just focused on them whether or not go to war with Orcus. So, and then that Orcus corporation or what, I don't know what they are, but it kind of did clarify some stuff. So it has like at the central thing of it is Dr. Killian Devo, and then it kind of shows like research and development, infrastructure, and influence. It kind of shows like this probably kind of like the C-suite, like the main people in the higher management. So, but Dr. Stasis is in human resource, and then Fei Long is in operations and offense. So Dr. Stasis and Fei Long are working together, along with some of these other people. But then it shows like sociology and modeling, and then culture and narrative, like they're blacked out, so I don't know if they don't want to reveal who's part of that yet, because it might be like one of the guys I was watching, Blurred Vision or Blurred Without Fear. So he reviews all these comic books, and he was thinking like it might be Moraine McTaggart, who's part of the 10 lives and or 10 deaths of Wolverine. So she might come into this somehow too. So which it's all quite confusing.
It's a lot. You'd have to. I think I mentioned this before. It's like I'd almost have to have something written down so I remember who is all who as you go. Especially with the ones where you have to wait a month in between reading the next issue.
Yeah, that's the X-Men one. I think is a month, but
yeah.
No, yeah, I'm like, oh, I'll remember this because this is cool, and then I try to talk, and I'm like, blah.
Well,
so
my first ones, that's where I'm going back to just I'm not reading in a series here. I mentioned early on I'm going to talk about 3 number ones, and the reason is because I had somebody trade in some Magic cards, which I've been getting a ton, so I do have a ton of more singles here. Anyways, but they traded in a stack of comic books, and in those was a handful of DC comics, and they were the Rebirth number ones. And so there was in the stack was Teen Titans, Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad, and Justice League number 1 from DC Rebirth, along with Killer Croc. It's actually it was really weird because it looks like Killer Croc 1 from the New 52, but it's actually the Batman and Robin comic 23.4. Which when I was trying to search for Killer Croc 1, I couldn't find it, but it's actually Batman and Robin 23.4, but it's actually the like origin story of Killer Croc. So anyways, first I'll talk about Teen Titans DC Rebirth. The Teen Titans are farther apart than ever before until Damian Wayne recruits Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and the new Kid Flash to join him in a fight against his own grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. But true leadership is more than just calling the shots. Is Robin really up to the task, or will the Teen Titans dismiss this diminutive dictator? So it's kind of like one of those again where it was kind of starting everything over, I believe. I was just trying to look when this came out. Oh, here we go. Nope, I lied. I don't have it. Oh yeah, I do. 2016, September 2016 is when this came out. And so I knew nothing about Teen Titans, but it just seemed like so I was actually thinking, I was just talking earlier about both the comics I previewed were like horror comics, which is kind of my thing. So these were kind of a little bit lighter, at least 2 of the 3. So yeah, Teen Titans, it kind of goes through, we meet the different people that presumably will be in the Teen Titans. So the first is and they show them like doing different things. So we got Beast Boy. He looks like he's out partying, and then you see somebody like looking down on him, and as he's partying, he's hooking up, or I think trying to hook up with a girl in a pool. All of a sudden he turns into a huge shark to scare her as a joke, but she doesn't find that very cool and is gonna leave.
Lame.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden he gets shocked though by this person, and they say 1 down, and then we see Starfire. She's in the Caribbean, and it seems like she's trying to track down some bad people down on this Caribbean island. And as she's doing so, same thing happens. Somebody comes up behind her and shocks her. So then she's presumably kidnapped. And then we see Raven. a girl. She's in like I think it's like a art museum, and she must frequent there. But she actually looks like she uses her power as an empath to just let her be able to go to this into this museum. Anyways, it kind of shows what's going on with each of them. So we had Raven, and then the last is it Kid Flash? I believe is the last one. And so we kind of see what each of them are doing, and then so you're kind of assuming, then he gets, shocked eventually, and then they show all of them like in their arms, legs bound, like in this machine, and you're assuming it's going to be somebody bad, but the reveal at the end, a spoiler, it's from 2016, but it's Robin, who's he said, "You're probably wondering why I brought us all together." And so he was the one bringing them together to be the new Teen Titans. So that was the end of that. I didn't mention this before, but my thought was I'm going to reveal at the end of this which one of these I would prefer to continue reading. So that was something.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
So I was curious about, after reading X-Men 9, like who's Rogue's mother actually? Because I was like, I don't ever remember this Destiny person being her mom. And I don't know if they switched the canon up, but so apparently Mystique adopted Rogue at some point in the storyline, but it doesn't say anything about Destiny, so I don't know. Maybe we'll show more in the coming issues, or I have to reread it again because I'm dyslexic, I swear. But
what do you got next?
All right, so the next one is the 10 Lives and 10 Deaths of Wolverine. They're starting to make sense now. So in 10 Lives of Wolverine, he's being sent back in time with with Jean Grey's ability to, like, I don't know how it happens, but he goes back in time to prevent Professor X from being assassinated. And Omega Red is like, he's taking over people's bodies as like a ghost. And then, like, so in the first issue, Omega Red takes over like the gardener for Professor Xavier's parents, and then he tries to kill him there. And then 10 Lives of Wolverine just shows them kind of various times and places trying to take out Professor X. So, but yeah, Wolverine's being sent back, through the powers of Professor X and Jean Grey. So, and actually at the end of issue 3, Omega Red takes over Wolverine's body somehow while Wolverine still conscience is in that body. It's kind of weird, and it's a comic book, so anything can happen essentially, right?
The best part.
So yeah, so then he's about to go take out Professor X, so we'll see who comes in and saves the day.
Nice.
And then 10 Deaths of Wolverine is a Wolverine from the future sent to stop Moiraine McTaggart from taking out mutants for good. So that in issue 3 of 10 Deaths, it has X-23, is it? Laura Kinney, the new, the female Wolverine, and then it has Scout, who's a clone of Wolverine, and she only has one claw. X-23 has 2 claws. And then Dakin's in this too, which is Wolverine's son, who in 10 Lives of Wolverine almost gets taken out by from Romulus, one of Wolverine's nemesis. So yeah, anyways, they're starting to come together, starting to make more sense. And the 10 Deaths was like at first just Moiraine McTaggart a ton, and now this like phalanx, forget what it's called, but Wolverine from the future is now trying to take out Moiraine McTaggart. But yeah, it's getting pretty good. There's only 2 issues left of both because there's only 10. So yeah, at the end of 10 Deaths of Wolverine, Moiraine takes out, which apparently is the last mutant, and it looks like Wolverine, but it's not him. So yeah, because he's at the end, like this guy's like, did Wolverine just give up? ? And this is a guy that looks like Wolverine talking. So yeah, it's kind of confusing. But then she takes out that guy who looks like Wolverine, and essentially it was the last mutant on the planet. So yeah, another confusing storyline. Not milk toast.
Well, all right. So next, I'm going to talk about Harley Quinn Rebirth #1. And so I think I read a Harley Quinn #1 earlier, and it wasn't this one. So I think this is my second Harley Quinn #1 because I remember having one on a back shelf, but who knows? I read too many comics. So this one uh, is again Harley Quinn #1 Rebirth from 2016, I believe. Is I'm assuming the same as the other one. Uh, Die Laughing Part 1. Welcome back to Harley Quinn's crazy world on Coney Island. Now get ready to wave goodbye because everyone there might just get eaten alive. Harley's got to protect her neighborhood against an all-out zombie apocalypse. Break out the chainsaws, everybody. So this one starts out, it's uh very, Luke might want to look it up. Very provocative. They're in getting a massage and in a hot tub. And you know how comic books are. But they're just talking about what's going on. And So at one point, Ivy says, "How's owning a building and owning a business and two buildings going?" So yeah, so apparently, uh, Harley is a entrepreneur, and I think she wants Ivy to stick with her, but she's going to do her own thing. And so this whole issue is it's kind of a cool way to do it. After that, she's trying to like bring in or recruit a couple new people, and so then it gives a quick backstory. It talks about how she was kind of fell for the Joker and, came to be Harley Quinn. So it does a little backstory as she's telling these kind of, introducing herself to these two recruits. And then she shows her friends, and she's just got like a million different friends, uh, different groups of friends. Like this one's the Skate Club Sisters. And then we've got, what are these guys called? The Coney Island Freak Fest and Burlesque. And she shows all her friends, and it's just a pretty colorful cast of people. And then so we meet these couple uh people she's bringing to her team. I can't remember their names. I'm guessing it says it here somewhere. But and so as she's talking to them, we see in the background, at one point she's like, "How's your peripheral vision?" He's like, "If you're referring to the insane looking bloody people heading our way, I'd say my peripheral vision is pretty good." And so they have a bunch of zombies all of a sudden coming at them as they're, she's doing this, trying to recruit these people and doing this whole little spiel for them. And then it says 98 hours ago, and we see this thing crashing into a field by a bunch of cows on a farm, and it's like this alien thing that goes into one of the cows, and then all of a sudden the cow gets brought in and says, "Scoot, bossy, get at the gas," and then it's showing him as it's pushing him into the place to be processed, and then we see the whole process as we see it screaming from the outside as it's getting processed into meat, and then we see it getting chopped up, and we see it turning into hot dogs that are then sold on this Coney Island where she lives. And so it's in like hot dogs, and all these people are enjoying them, police officers and a horse and birds, and all of a sudden they're all turning into zombies. It's because they have whatever this alien thing was that crashed. It was in the meat that they're all eating. So then we see her along with these two other people fighting zombies. My favorite part is so the thing is too, and I remember this from the last time I read a Harley Quinn comic. I giggled at least 4 or 5 times to myself because it was actually pretty funny. But the one guy is bit on the arm, and he's like, "Damn, damn, damn! Oh God, my arm!" And she's jumping with her knife, and she's like, "I'll save you." And he's like, "Holy bleep!" And she cuts his arm off, and he's like, "Oh God, what have you done?" She says, "I'm saving your life. You said it yourself. You could get infected." And I said, "We have a chance to get infected, a chance." And so right away she chops his arm off, and they have no clue. And she's like, "Oh, sorry about that," pretty much. So then she's trying to save him, and the only way to save him, because they're like, "Oh, the police! Oh, they're getting eaten by the zombies too." She has this catapult thing, and she tapes up his arm and puts him on that, and she's gonna catapult him to safety. And then his name was Red Tool. She's like, "Red, can you hear?" So she launches him off this catapult thing off the top of the building, like, Red, can you hear me? Well, he's passed out, flying through the air. So that's how it ends. So, anyways, these Harley Quinn ones are always just, they have their humor, which you sometimes need in comic books. So that's one of my 3 number ones I read. I'll talk about this one quick. It's again, this is one that threw me off. It was Batman and Robin, 23.4, but it shows as Killer Croc 1, and it's a sweet, like hollow. I don't know if it shows through to Luke, but a like hollow, like 3D cover on both sides, even the Batman ad on the back. And
Nice.
so it's in the middle of so the little blurb is actually for Batman 23.4 Killer Croc. As the battle for Gotham City continues to build, the scales become unbalanced when the ferocious Killer Croc enters the fray. And so we see initially some FBI or SWAT agents down in a sewer looking for something. And then it's one of those things where it just keeps going back. It's like all of a sudden, then 26 years ago, we see Killer Croc with, I think it's his aunt, trying to scrub the scales off of him. And he's got little horns and everything. And she's pretty much calling him a freak. And he has no parents. Then it flashes back again. And all of a sudden, these SWAT guys are this huge thing of waters flashing through, and then Killer Croc shows up, and they're just tearing them all apart pretty much. Again, and it jumps back again, and it just kind of shows his life. He was joined a like a freak show kind of thing. He was fighting crocodiles, and was kind of getting kind of screwed over there. Then again, it shows now, so it keeps doing this, showing how he got to today. Then they're just slowly just killing these SWAT people. And it gets to the point where there's these people down in the sewers that are even attacking these SWAT people. And, there's 2 left, and they're like a couple, I believe. And they must be known, I'm assuming, maybe in the Batman Robin world, but I'm not familiar. But in kind of what it leads to is he has this whole underground world that he's creating, and it's really because he was pushed to it. Everybody just kept knocking him down, and now he's got he's part of the battle for Gotham City, and he's got a pretty tough force. I mean, especially underground, it seems like they couldn't be stopped. So that was the Killer Croc one as part of the New 52, and so if I had to pick one of those 3, I think I would continue with Harley Quinn, just because I like something that's can make you chuckle along with the action. So if I had to choose, even though if I could, I would read all 3 of them if I just had the time and I had all of them. So that was my 3 number ones.
That's the problem with all these comic books. There's just not enough time in the day.
Well, so that's why you got to watch more TV. So my last thing that's comic heading into our last section is Irredeemable, which I know I've talked about. It's another Image Comics story. It's one of my comics that I have the first volume of it, and I'm going to read here soon. When the world's most powerful and beloved superhero, the godlike Plutonian, inexplicably begins slaughtering everyone on Earth, the only person that could stop him is his former arch nemesis, the superpowered villain Max Damage. Unwillingly thrust into the role of savior, Max must uncover the Plutonian's mysterious past in order to discover how to bring him down. But can he discover what made the Plutonian go crazy before his own degenerative superpowers cause him to lose his mind? And I lied. I do remember I read the first issue of this and talked about it on the podcast. This is going to be coming to Netflix. So I don't know if it has a time frame, but so that's one coming to Netflix. So I think that's one you may like as well, Luke, because this one reminds me a lot of Invincible. So we're going to be talking about Invincible. Might as well jump into it. We already mentioned it. You and I watched. I kind of kept mentioning it. I have the whole big omnibus, and I've read the first like half of it, and I'm probably going to start over and read it again now. But anyways, I love Invincible. It's by Robert Kirkman, who's the Walking Dead fame. It was his superhero comic. And it's great. It has like I don't even know, it's a cult following. But Luke, give me your thoughts on Invincible. I'm more curious about that because one thing I'll just mention, and let's try to obviously avoid spoilers since it's pretty new, but there's a lot of blood. And I know you're not a huge fan of all the blood and gore, and this has a lot of it. Your thoughts?
Is this pretty new? We can spoil it, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like we can. So
Yeah,
spoiler
probably this-
alert, because
Okay, yeah.
I was
okay,
watching the first episode and just it was a typical like animated superhero animated video, and I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. And then at the end, when Omnius just destroys the whole
Omni-Man.
Omni-Man just destroys the whole like Guardians of the Galaxy, or what were they called? I already forgot.
Yep.
And he
Guardians.
just like the one guy, he like takes his head and squeezes it, and
Yeah.
then brain matter everywhere, and I was just like, what's going on? But it's like, oh, so it'll be this type of show, and
It was
so
a
yeah,
huge
it's like
cliffhanger at the end of one.
yeah,
So let's just and again, if you want to move this back, or the quick blurb from Amazon is that Invincible is an adult animated superhero series that revolves around 17-year-old Mark Grayson, who just like every other guy his age, except his father, he's just like every other guy his age, except his father is the most powerful superhero on the planet, Omni-Man. But as Mark develops powers of his own, he discovers that his father's legacy may not be as heroic as it seems. So that's how it kind of starts. Is he all of a sudden starts getting his powers. I think he like throws a bag of garbage into space when he's working at a restaurant and he's throwing the garbage away. And so that kind of sets off everything once Omni-Man realizes that his son now has powers because, yeah, so it kind of goes from there. We see, so it's just a kid wanting to, he has a girlfriend, he has normal everyday things, but all of a sudden he has superpowers. He's getting beat up by a bully, and all of a sudden he is one of the strongest beings in the world. So he's just trying to live his life as he's becoming this superhero. And then bad stuff starts happening, and there's then they show, my favorite is all the bad guys in this universe. There's I can't remember all the names, but there's the two twins,
the
those
clones.
guys. Yeah. And so
I'm the original. You're the, or they keep arguing who's the original.
Yeah. And then one who must be the original, like, kills them eventually because they get too powerful, and then just creates another one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I like in that when they show Mark after he gets his, the bully that keeps picking on him. One day after Mark gets his powers, he's just like, "Hey, don't mess with me. Like, I'm not in the mood for it." And then he just lets him like punch him in the face until he like
wears out.
Wears out, and then he's like, "Freak!" and then he runs away.
No, it's a great, I mean, that whole series, as we said, I watched it too within a week or a week and a half. I mean, it's only 8-hour-long episodes, but no, it's great. There's a lot of different crazy bad guys that, show up in each one that they have to fight, along with this, this crazy, because nobody knows, that his dad, Omni-Man, did this. The whole thing is like, who killed the Guardians of the Galaxy? There's that demon guy who's, trying to solve it, and people start to wonder, looking at Omni-Man, and Mark's just going about his day, having problems with his girlfriend, trying to, become a superhero. And then we meet the new Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's kind of cool too. And they even do a tryout, and then we see them as they grow in this first season.
And they're kind of like, they like to party. They, like they're just all about like, going to fight the battle and come back and party, because they're all younger. But one of the guys like, we have to watch the tape, kind of like after a basketball game or football game.
He was a former actual Guardian of the Galaxy, and now he's like lost his powers, but
is a robot suit.
But no. So and then the cool thing is at the end it like wrapped everything up, and it showed you. Do you remember that there's the problems that are coming? They showed the guy in the two twins going into prison, but they're gonna get back out. They showed the what the heck were the other ones? The guy creating like the rock monsters. There was there was even the good guys seemingly creating all those like when they reanimate the dead into those like robot guys, and there's a whole big room full of those. There was the different people in space, like there's some sort of aliens, but
those
there's just
like
all these bad things, because they're like, so what's next? And he's like, I don't know, maybe like he's just he's planning on just going to college, and it's like, nope.
In New York or whatever.
Yeah. So
yeah,
anyways.
I like when so those aliens that kept invading and like their time moved, a lot faster, so they would age.
Yeah, forgot about that.
And,
yeah, those guys were cool too.
Omni-Man, like, cause it's Invincible, like he couldn't take him out, and like he got pretty beat up by it, and Omni-Man just like flies into their universe or their world and just destroys it, like
there's
just annihilates everyone.
Yeah, there's people just doing their everyday thing on this planet. And he just flies through the buildings and everything's just exploding. And, then he just shows up back at home and he's like, oh, what's for dinner?
Yeah, I got a shower. Yeah.
Yeah, the mom's always like, where's dad? And he's like, oh, he just went into another universe. And he's like, oh, so he'll be home a little late. But,
Yeah.
he's like, you're not worried? Like, no, it's just another Tuesday.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can't wait till the second season of that. I finally finished Lucifer. I'm not even, it was a great series. I want to read the comic now of Lucifer. That one too wrapped everything up great in the last, I think it was 8 seasons. So I've talked about that a lot. Just in the interest of time, some other things, I just wanted to mention, we beat AJ and Tyler in hockey.
We did.
Yeah. Yep.
They beat us twice, but we beat them once. So
yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, but what was the old the hockey saying from the Olympics? It takes the one time. They may beat us.
We may play them 10 times and lose 9.
Yeah,
not tonight.
Yep, and that was
our time is now. Their time is done.
Yep, and now I feel after me bringing this up on the podcast, they are going to destroy us every time in the future. But we won one time.
Yes.
Another thing I was going to mention, because you have the Switch, you need to get Mario Kart. Because at the store, we've been doing battles. And I love Shine Thief. That's my number 1. But there's Coin Runner. It's just got a bunch of battles, and they are so fun. And we play on the Switch. So that's one thing I've been playing.
I'll have to get it. When they had the Mario sale going on, we got the Mario 3D because that's what the kids wanted. And I should have known better and got Mario Kart. Because, yeah, Harrison has it too. So he was saying that we'll have to get online soon and play some Mario Kart or something, because AJ has it too, and get a fun time going.
This just briefly, we should have mentioned earlier because it should be in the news, but House of Dragon, I was telling Luca, comes out August 21st. So we watched the trailer. It's set 200 years before the last Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones, and it's focused on obviously the House of Dragon. And I'll just do a quick. The show will focus on an infamous event in Westeros history known as the Dance of the Dragons. This is a civil war that took place between siblings Aegon II and Rhaenyra over the throne after the death of Father Viserys I. The war will pit all of Westeros against itself, with other houses such as the Starks and Lannisters joining either side. Many of the House of Targaryen's powerful dragons perished, and soon afterward would go extinct until Daenerys Targaryen would hatch 3 eggs 100 years later. Anyway, so we'll focus on an infamous event, and we watched the trailer. You finished it. I started it like 5 times and got through the 3rd season, and just the way I am, I have to redo it. So I'm going to redo it after seeing this again and hope to get through the whole series because I have it. Your thoughts after watching the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, I think Game of Thrones is probably my top 5 favorite TV shows. So yeah, it's I'm pretty excited for this one. Like, I know everyone complains about like the last probably season of Game of Thrones because it kind of got, I don't know. I think after so many seasons, you just get kind of sloppy, and I don't know. But although I will say the dragons in the last, I think probably last season or last 2 seasons were pretty awesome. So, yeah, and I think they're Targaryens, right? Is that who the dragons are? I forget, but yeah, it looks pretty sweet. And if it's more dragons, that's all the better.
Yeah, and then there was actually a couple others that other works are in the prom. They're doing a something called the Sea Snake, a series about Carlos Valerian, the greatest seafarer in the 7 kingdoms. They're doing 10,000 ships. The story of a warrior queen, Nymeria, is moving forward with Amanda Siegel as showrunner. And then so there's more and more coming out from for Game of Thrones, and so I'm excited about that. Last thing I'm going to mention is, I mentioned this to you, Jeff Hardy showed up in AEW. I'm still loving my AEW. I didn't watch last pay-per-view, and so that really threw me off because I just like to continue the storyline, and I missed it, and obviously I couldn't watch it, but I finally got back into it, and Jeff Hardy is now in AEW and tag teaming with Matt Hardy again, which is pretty sweet. And Paige Van Zant from UFC showed up too. And is now in the AEW, I believe. So, and I'm like 3 weeks behind, so I'll catch up. But yeah, those are pretty sweet things.
Yeah, speaking of wrestling, I watched, only Saturday of WrestleMania because we have Peacock, and also I was pretty interested, and I've started like I watched a few back Raw episodes, and but yeah, WrestleMania on Saturday, Cody Rhodes came back and had a match with Seth Rollins, and I don't know, I didn't see the matches on Sunday, obviously, but that was probably the best match on Saturday.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes in AEW, man, he gives it like 1,000,000% every match. I mean, his last match in AEW I told you about is a ladder match against Sammy Guevara, I believe. And the stuff they did in that match was just epic. I mean, you should go back and that was his last match, and they, went all out. But yeah, the WrestleMania, I missed it. I've seen some, clips and things, and seen some things that happened. So
Well, I
wish
did
would've
get
seen it,
back.
but
I got back in time on Sunday because I had hockey, so I missed, most of it. I got back in time to watch Lesnar and Reigns. They basically just did their big moves to each other. Like Brock did a few suplexes, and Reigns speared him probably like 8 times. And then like the 9th time he did, he pinned him. And but it like didn't really. It was a crappy match. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
pretty bummed, but I'm sure it sounds like there's a good tag team match. That like they said was probably the best match of Sunday.
Yeah. I saw I saw a thing on Twitter. Matt Riddle, who's my
RKO
favorite,
from the top. Yeah.
top rope RKO. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Matt Riddle's character is funny on there because he's like, yeah, I kind of got dry mouth and my eyes are a little dry, and Randy Orton's like, yeah, that's not normal, or no, he's like, yeah, that seems normal because he's always high apparently.
Those two they're a great. I was watching it as they became a team, as Matt Riddle kept wearing them down, and so yeah, they have an awesome dynamic. But I haven't been watching it as much, but we were going to talk about, but I'm just going to say next we'll do coming next in episode 21. We're going to talk about The Boys because I'm reading the comic. Luke has started watching the series, and we hear they're already season 3 coming out, so we're behind. So
yeah, season 3 in June I think comes out, so I might have to binge it before then. And
yes, so we'll see how much I can read and Luke can watch. So we'll talk about that. So in the comics and movies next week. So yeah, until episode 21, go play some games, everyone.
Yeah, and we'll definitely record before June, hopefully.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
That's true.
All right, yeah. Until next time, go play some games.